you'll be told that His Excellency has used the office of the Deputy President to corruptly influence unnecessary and expensive renovation of his official residence in Karen and Mombasa. What will shock you is this, good people. The contract for the renovation of the official residence of the Deputy President was signed by the controller of State House. Unless the move of this motion wants to make a claim that the Deputy President conspired with the State House to have this contract executed. Number two, it will be known to all of us as members of Parliament that the money for renovation of this official residence was approved by the National Assembly. Is the National Assembly conceding that it approved money for unnecessary expenditure by government? How can the National Assembly approve money for use for renovation of the residence of the Deputy President, then after that money is used for the intended purpose, the renovation of the official residence of the President, now drag the Deputy President for impeachment for the reason of that renovation? I said it will move through the ridiculous to the embarrassing. You'll be told that the Deputy President has a helicopter landing facility at his land, Ruguru, Kiamariga, 1223 in Madeira. The Deputy President simply has no helicopter landing pad on that farm, a small parcel of land with napier grass, unless the mover of this motion can now convince us that new technology has emerged, that napier grass is the constructing material for landing pads for aircrafts. That's the only way it can make sense. But because it doesn't make sense, good people, you'll agree with me, it moves from the false through the ridiculous to the embarrassing. Now let's deal with it. You'll be told the Deputy President has amassed a wealth portfolio amounting to 5.2 billion shillings. Elementarily, we must then look at the particularization. Tell us which one is what, plus which one is what, plus which one is what, to amount to this 5.2 billion. This figure, the origin, is only known to the mover of this motion. There is nothing on the body of the motion. There is nothing in the documents attached to the motion. There is nothing in the video clips to be played by the mover of this motion that tells us mathematically how he arrived at this figure of 5.2 billion shillings. Then when the charges were read, distinguished senators, you had some 22 companies being read one by one. Thank you. 22 companies. A number of things will surprise you. You'll just find a company listed called Spiritway Limited. Nothing in this motion tells us what wrong has this company done. Nothing in the motion, completely. It just listed there the way it is. Fortis Vis Group Limited. Nothing in this motion tells us what wrong has Fortis Vis Group Limited done. They're just companies whose names have been listed, and we have spent the taxpayers' money this afternoon listening to these companies' names being written with nothing in this motion telling us. So what wrong has Dorcas Rigadi Foundation done? What act are you complaining of for that company? What omission are you complaining of in respect of that company? Heartland Supplies Limited, you just find a name of a company there. No wrongdoing is alluded to it. No allegation is made against it. They're just companies thrown there. Distinguished senators, the Romans called their assembly, which was the equivalent of this Senate, the patres. It was an advisory council. That name was derived from an old Latin word meaning father. Senate derives its name from the Latin word senex, meaning old man. All these words are supposed to address the sagacious, the state of wisdom of the Senate. If this Senate lives true to its historical origin as the patres, If this Senate lives true to its Latin origins as the Senex, the old man, the wise man, it will see through these lies, it will see through this ridiculousness, it will see through these embarrassing statements. If time were to permit, I will take you through other allegations that meet the same test of falsehood, ridiculousness, and embarrassment. Fortunately for us, the rules of procedure permit us to cross-examine the move of this motion and the respective witnesses as a way of bringing forth these lies much more clearly. We shall do that when the time presents itself. At the end of it all, we shall beseech you to do two things: to be true to your oath of office as senators, to be true to your oath of office as senators, to pour through this evidence, to listen keenly to this evidence, to make a decision premised on the evidence as tested here in cross-examination. And if you do that, we have no doubt in our mind, you will reach the same conclusion that what has been presented before you as a most consequential motion, perhaps in our lifetime, is false, is ridiculous, is embarrassing. I rest the governor's opening statement.
That is the Deputy President, Council. It's not the governor.
My apologies, Mr. Speaker. I have been here multiple times on governors, and I think that is what was reigning in my mind. I rest the Deputy President's opening statement. My apologies for that.
Very well. Now, honorable senators will now move to hear the case of the National Assembly. Now, the National Assembly has 3 hours to present its case, meaning all the witnesses, evidence in chief, cross-examination will be given 2 hours. The legal team for the Deputy President, you'll have 2 hours to cross-examine the witnesses as presented by the National Assembly. Clerk, you may now usher in the first witness of the National Assembly.
Mr. Speaker, as we wait for the witness, I crave, if it finds favor with you, one of my assistants could come to help us with turning the pages. I reckon that way we would move much faster. He's called Boniface Mawira. He should be perhaps in the gallery.
That's a valid request. You may proceed. Counsel for the National Assembly, where are your witnesses coming from? They're taking too long.
I think they must be in room 4, Honorable Speaker. Our first witness is the Honorable Ekomas Mwingi Mutuse. who was the mover of the motion.
Counsel for the National Assembly, where are your witnesses coming from? They're taking too long.
I think they must be in room 4, Honorable Speaker. Our first
Are you
witness
sure
is
it's
the
not
Honorable Ekomas Mwingi Mutuse, who was the mover of the motion. It is always a risk
Counsel
in this
for the
type of
National
business,
Assembly.
Honorable Speaker.
Where are your witnesses
But I'm
coming
sure he's
from? They're
around.
taking too long.
I think they must be in room 4, Honorable Speaker. Our first
Are you
witness
sure
is
it's
the
not
Honorable Ekomas Mwingi Mutuse, who was the mover of the motion. It is always a risk
Counsel
in this
for the
type of
National
business,
Assembly.
Honorable Speaker.
Where are your witnesses
But I'm
coming
sure he's
from? They're
around.
taking too long.
I think they must be in room 4, Honorable Speaker. Our first
Are you
witness
sure
is
it's
the
not
Honorable Ekomas Mwingi Mutuse, who was the mover of the motion. It is always a risk
Counsel
in this
for the
type of
National
business,
Assembly.
Honorable Speaker.
Where are your witnesses
But I'm
coming
sure he's
from?
around.
Counsel, before you proceed, you first
I think they
introduce
must be in room
yourself
4, Honorable Speaker. Our
Yes,
first
for the
witness is
record,
the
Honorable
Honorable
Speaker, my name is
Ekomas
Mudomi
Mwingi
Biankole.
Mutuse,
I'll
who
be
was the
doing the
mover of the
exam in
motion.
chief on behalf of the
It is
National
always a
Assembly.
risk in
Counsel
this
for the
type of
National
I
business,
shall be
Honorable
assisted
Speaker.
in
Where are
that
your
enterprise
witnesses
and I
coming
by
from?
your
Counsel,
learned
before you
friend,
proceed,
Mr.
Peter
I think they must be in
Wanyonge
room
Wanyama.
4, Honorable
I will
Speaker.
cover
Our
ground
first
one. For the
witness is
record,
the
Honorable
Honorable
Speaker, my name is
Ekomas
Mudomi
Mwingi
Biankole.
Mutuse,
I'll
who
be
was the
doing the
mover of the
exam in
motion.
chief on behalf of the
It is
National
always a
Assembly.
risk in this type of
I
business,
shall be
Honorable
assisted
Speaker.
in
where
that
are your
enterprise
witnesses
and I
coming
by
from?
your
Counsel,
learned
before you
friend.
proceed,
Mr. I think they must be in
Wanyonge
room
Wanyama.
4,
May the-
Honorable
I will
Speaker.
cover
Our
ground
first
one. For the
witness is
record,
the
Honorable
Honorable
Speaker, my name is
Ekomas
Mudomi
Mwingi
Biankole.
Mutuse,
Mwenga
I'll be
was the
Mutuse,
doing the
mover of the
exam in
do
motion.
solemnly
chief on
swear
behalf
that
of the
evidence
National
that shall
Assembly.
give before the Senate will be
I
straight
shall
of
be
matters
assisted
before the
in that
Where are your
Senate.
enterprise and I
witnesses
by
coming
your
from? Counsel,
learned
before you
friend.
proceed,
The whole truth,
Mr. I
Peter
think they must be in room
Wanyama.
4,
May-
Honorable
I will
Speaker.
cover
Our
ground
first
one. For the
witness is
record,
the
Three
Honorable
hours.
Speaker, my name is
Ekomas
Mudomi
Mwingi
Biankole.
Mutuse,
Mwenga
I'll be
was the
Mutuse,
doing the
mover of the
exam in
do
motion.
solemnly
chief
swear
on behalf of
that
the
evidence
National
that shall give
Assembly.
before the Senate will be
I
straight
shall
of
be
matters
assisted
before
in
the
that
Senate.
enterprise and I by your
Counsel,
learned
before you
friend.
proceed,
The whole
And
truth,
what you do,
I think they must be in room 4,
So, Mr.
Honorable
Speaker,
Speaker.
Senators,
Our
my name
first
is
witness is the
Mwenga
Honorable
Speaker, my name is
Ekomas
Mudomi
Mwingi Mutuse,
Mwenga
I'll be doing the
Mutuse,
exam in
do
chief
solemnly
on
swear
behalf
that
of the
evidence
National
that shall
Assembly.
give before the Senate will be
I
straight
shall
of
be
matters
assisted
before
in
the
that
Senate.
enterprise and I by your learned friend.
The whole
And
truth,
what you do,
I think they must be in room 4,
So, Mr.
Honorable
Speaker,
Speaker. Our first witness is the
Honorable
Honorable
Speaker, my name is
Ekomas
Mudomi
Mwingi
Biankole.
Mutuse,
Mwenga
I'll be
Mutuse,
doing the exam in
do solemnly
chief
swear
on behalf
that
of the
evidence
National
that shall give
Assembly.
before the Senate will be straight of
Allegation
matters
number
before
one,
the
for the
Senate.
record, page 3, learned friend.
The whole
And
truth,
what you do,
I think they must be in room 4,
So, Mr.
Honorable
Speaker,
Speaker. Our
Senators,
first
my name is
witness is the
Honorable Speaker,
Honorable
my name is
Ekomas
Mudomi
Mwingi
Biankole.
Mutuse,
Mwenga
I'll be
Mutuse,
doing the exam in
do solemnly
chief on
swear
behalf
that
of the National
evidence that
Assembly.
shall give before the Senate will be straight of
Allegation
matters
number
before
one,
the
for the
Senate.
record, page 3, learned friend.
The whole
And
truth,
what you do,
I think they must be in room 4,
agreement on use of real
Honorable
Honorable Speaker, my name is Mudomi Biankole.
Mwenga
I'll be doing the exam in chief on behalf of the National Assembly. Allegation number one, for the record, page 3, learned friend. And what you do,
I think they must be in room 4,
Honorable Speaker, my name is Mudomi Biankole. I'll be doing the exam in chief on behalf of the National Assembly. Allegation number one, for the record, page 3, learned friend. And what you do,
I think they must be in room 4, Honorable
Honorable Speaker, my name is Mudomi Biankole. I'll be doing the exam in chief on behalf of the National Assembly. Allegation number one, for the record, page 3, learned friend. And what you do,
I think they must be in room 4,
Honorable
Who interprets this constitution, B, enacts, applies, or interprets any law, or C, makes or implements public policy decisions.
But, honorable member, someone would say these are just utterances and we surely can't remove a deputy president from office because he has a loose tongue or something like that. What is the problem with these utterances in the context of our history as the Republic of Kenya?
Number one, the constitutional context is that they bind all state officers and the deputy president is a state officer. So there are no two ways. You cannot choose the laws to obey and which not to obey. But number two, we have also had an history in our country. All of us would remember that we had clashes in Likoni in 1992 where populations were displaced. We had problems in Molo, every other cycle of election cycle, 1992, 1997. Even most recently, the country almost torn apart during the post-election violence of 2007 and 2008. There are examples within the region. Rwanda, Burundi is still struggling. As we speak today, Congo is fighting. Across the globe, Yugoslavia, there has been problems, Bosnia, all these countries. And they all began from utterances of this nature.
So is it your testimony, therefore, that utterances of the type we're about to see are a threat to the very existence of Kenya as a republic?
Indeed, that is my testimony.
Is our lived history consistent with the submission that those are not utterances that should emanate from the Deputy President of the Republic?
Not just the Deputy President of the Republic, but not from any citizen of the Republic.
But Honorable Mutuse, have you placed any evidence? You say the Deputy President has been doing this for 2 years. Have you placed any material to prove this allegation?
Yes. We have placed videos, evidence in the form of videos that have been recorded in meetings where the Deputy President has been attending, being video 1, video 2, video 3, video 4, video 8, and video 11, which contain utterances of the Deputy President in that regard.
Mr. Speaker, I request we play video number 1 from the National Assembly set of videos.
Sisi lazima tungeangalia nyinyi. Hii serikali ni kampuni na ni ya shares. Si ndio? Ni ya shares. Kuna wenye kampuni, wale wako na shares mingi, kuna wale wako na chache, kuna wale hawana. Sasa nyinyi mliinvest kwa hii kampuni ya William Ruto na Rigathi Gachagua. Sasa lazima mvune. Yule ambaye alipanda atafanya nini? Si mlipanda? Si mliamuka mapema? Mukasema mutaki kusikia mambo ya ile system na nini? Muka invest, mukapanda, mukapalilia, mukaweka mbolea, mukamwagilia maji, wakati ya kuvuna ndio huu. Na itakuwa namna hiyo. Najua wengine wananikashifu ati mimi nasema ati wale walipanda wavune kwanza. Iko makosa? Iko makosa? Hata hao watavuna lakini wangoje. Si wale walipanda na wavune kwanza. Wakishavuna wavune ile tabaki kidogo, wale wakupanda waingie watafute huko nini ile itapatikana wachukue wakwende. Si iko namna hiyo? Na itakuwa namna hiyo. Ndio watu wakipiga kura waelewe hii kura ni kusema nini. Hii kura iko na maana. Nyinyi hamwezi piga kelele huko, mpige kelele. Mnasema William Ruto ni bure, hawezi, mnaita yeye majina, alafu akipata, akikawa, mnapiga laini ati mko pale mbele. Ati mnataka mpite wale walisema anafaa ati mkue pale mbele. Inawezekana? Mimi kazi yangu pale kwa Ikulu ni hiyo. Ni kupanga hiyo laini. Hapo ni kazi mimi napanga hapo. Mimi naangalia kwa laini, nikiona wewe ulipanda, natoa wewe nyuma, napeleka wewe mbele.
Because of the constraint of time, Honorable Mutuse, what did these utterances mean and what were they understood by any fair-minded Kenyan to mean?
The ordinary meaning is that there are Kenyans who are supposed to benefit from the Kenyan government, and there are other Kenyans who are not supposed to benefit from the Kenyan government. And His Excellency the Deputy President will make sure only those who voted for the present government benefit from the government. And those who did not vote for the government will not get any benefits because they are not shareholders.
Are those utterances consistent with the national value of human dignity in Article 10B?
Not at all.
Are they consistent with the value of national unity in Article 10A?
Not at all.
Are they consistent with social justice in Article 10(2)B?
Not at all.
What about inclusiveness?
Indeed, they are divisive.
What about equality?
Not at all.
What about non-discrimination?
They are very discriminative.
What about protection of the marginalized?
They do not protect the marginalized, they marginalize them further.
We could go on and on, sir. Are those utterances consistent with any of the articles you claim in ground one have been violated?
Not at all.
Let's play video number 2, Honorable Speaker.
President Rigathi Gachagua again brought up the political shareholding narrative, saying the Kenya Kwanza administration will prioritize Kenyans who voted for it in the distribution of government employment slots and development projects. Well, Gachagua spoke in Nandi County, where he led other government officials in a church service and thereafter a fundraiser at Kurgung Boys High School. Ayub Abdikadir reports.
Mosop constituency in Nandi County offered Gachagua a platform to amplify his narrative about the government being a shareholding entity that apparently belongs to those who voted for it, calling on the people of Nandi County to remain patient as the state works on development projects and employment opportunities that would prioritize Kenya Kwanza supporters.
Rais ako pale. Niko hapo. Huyu Felix ako hapo. Rais mnamjua. Mimi mnanijua msimamo yangu. Ya kwamba watoto wakiwa wengi kuna wale kwanza ya kuangaliwa, si mnajua? Sasa huyu Felix ako pale ndio mwenye kuunganisha mawaya. Mambo yetu tumepanga.
His remarks similar to the last time he sparked public debate by hinting at preferential treatment for Kenyans who voted for the government.
Mambo iko sawa. Chakula iko jikoni, karibu kuiva. Watoto ni wengi, chakula ni kidogo. Iko watoto ya nyumbani, iko ajirani, iko namna hiyo, na nyinyi mtulie. Chakula ikiiva, sisi ndio wenye kupakua. Na watoto tunawajua kwa sura na kwa msimamo. Hatuwezi kuwa confused. Kuna mtu wajua watoto yake.
The deputy president who led other Kenya Kwanza leaders for a church service and thereafter a fundraiser at Kurgung Boys High School also outlined measures.
Let's play, in the interest of time, Mr. Speaker, I want to play all of them, then I'll put the questions. Let's hear video number 3, I believe.
Gachagua says he has no apologies to make over his shareholders' narratives, saying those who voted in the Kenya Kwanza government should reap big from the government.
Well, Gachagua, who was speaking in Nandi County, where he led a fundraiser towards the construction of the ACK Plaza in Kapsabet town, also dismissed claims that there are differences between himself and President William Ruto. Martin Munene has the details.
Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua was in President William Ruto's Rift Valley backyard on Sunday, where he presided over a fundraiser in aid of Kapsabet ACK Church. And here the DP made it clear that he was not backing down on his shareholders' gospel that has left a bad taste in many people's mouths.
I am unapologetic to demand and to insist that those who believed in William Ruto and supported him to a man have every right to benefit immensely from his government. I have no apology.
Let's play video number 4, 8, and 11 in that sequence.
Serikali, a government is like a company. There is shareholding. Kuna wale who have invested a lot of shares. Kuna wale wameweka kidogo. Kuna wale wamekataa. Lakini wote ni wa Kenya. So ndio tukasema kama wewe umeenda kupanda mahindi, ama wacha nipeane example ya ng'ombe kwa sababu niko Kajiado. Wewe uko na ng'ombe yako ya maziwa. Hiyo ng'ombe imezaliwa ikiwa njao, umeichunga vizuri, umepatia majani, umenunulia dairy meal, umepatia chumvi, umepeleka kwa malisho, umepatia maji, imezaa, imeanza kukamuliwa. Wewe unatakiwa kwanza ukuwe mtu ya kwanza kukamua hiyo ng'ombe na kukunywa maziwa. Serikali, a government is like a company. There is shareholding. Kuna wale who have invested a lot of shares. Kuna wale wameweka kidogo. Kuna wale wamekataa. Lakini wote ni wa Kenya. So ndio tukasema kama wewe umeenda kupanda mahindi, ama wacha nipeane example ya ng'ombe kwa sababu niko Kajiado. Wewe uko na ng'ombe yako ya maziwa. Hiyo ng'ombe imezaliwa ikiwa njao.
We can go to the next because we see an element of repetition. Let's go to the next video.
Mimi nilisema pale Kericho, watu ya Azimio wakanipigia kelele. Nikasema Kenya hii kila mtu afanyiwe kazi. Kwa sababu kila mtu analipa kodi. Na hao wabunge wakiongozwa na Kimani Ichung'wa wako pale bunge. Wagawe pesa kwa kila mtu Kenya. Na hivyo ndivyo inaendelea.
Yes, video number 11.
Watu ya kukusaidia. Utatafuta.
The good people of Homa Bay, that I am going to work with your leaders, the ones you have elected, so that we can develop our country together. Competition is over. Si tumemaliza mambo ya mashindano? Si tumemaliza mambo ya mashindano? Si ile kazi imebaki ni sisi kuwafanyia kazi sasa? Si ni kweli? Muko tayari kufanya kazi na mimi? Munasema nifanye kazi na viongozi wenu wale mliowachagua. Mimi nawahakikishia nitafanya kazi na wao, ndio tupange mambo ya maendeleo ya Homa Bay, tupange mambo ya maendeleo ya Kenya, ndio tuweze kupeleka taifa letu mbele. Tuondoe umaskini, tupange ajira ya hawa vijana, tupunguze gharama ya chakula, na tupange mambo ya maendeleo ya Kenya, tutengeneze nchi ambayo kila Mkenya anajivunia kuwa Mkenya.
So, Mutusa, you know we could play these videos on and on. Unfortunately, time is not with us. But please confirm that you have presented before Senate utterances made by the Deputy President on this theme in Kitui. Is that correct?
That is correct.
In Nandi, is that correct?
That is correct.
In Kericho, is that correct?
That is correct.
In Kajiado?
That is correct.
Please confirm it is in public domain. These utterances have been made in very many other places. These were just illustrations.
Indeed, I suspect they have been made even in the counties represented by the senators seated here.
Have these been isolated aberrations, or has it been a consistent campaign and mantra by the Deputy President across the Republic?
It has been consistent, and as the Deputy President says, unapologetic.
But he also played for us a video where the President is speaking. How does it compare with the utterances and the campaign by his deputy?
The President is preaching national unity, and I believe that is a function assigned to the President under Article 131 of the Constitution, to be a symbol of national unity. And the Deputy President is also required to deputize the President in performance of his functions. And therefore, it will be expected that the Deputy President will take cue. Instead, the Deputy President is contradicting the President.
We have seen these events covered by a major television station, right?
Indeed.
Does that television, to the best of your knowledge, have national or is it local coverage?
National, and some of them regional coverage.
Should the Deputy President of the Republic have the wisdom to know his utterances will be conveyed to the country and the world?
Indeed, yes.
We saw him talking about children that belong to the family, and although we don't use the language these days, some illegitimate children. Who was he calling children from outside the home, or the illegitimate ones?
Looking in totality from all his videos, he must have made those who voted for Kenya Kwanza as the legitimate children, and those who did not vote for Kenya Kwanza as the legitimate children.
We have seen him saying he has no apologies to make, notwithstanding that these utterances, to quote the media house, were leaving a bad taste in the mouths of many people. Is that correct or incorrect?
Yes, he is very loudly clear that he has no apologies to make for referring to Kenya, for saying Kenya is a company belonging to shareholders for the benefit of the shareholders.
That defiance and the stance that he has no apology to make, does it depict the deportment of a man or a woman who should be the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya?
Not at all.
But you heard his counsel say that there must be some extraordinary wrongdoing before we can impeach for mere utterances or for the things you have alleged. To the best of your knowledge, sir, how many vice presidents or deputy presidents has Kenya had since 1963? In your estimate, how many?
11.
11.
11 or thereabout?
Let's say a dozen, 12, right?
Yes.
Do we have in our history since 1963 experience of a deputy president who traverses the country preaching ethnic exclusion?
I don't remember any. The only incident I remember, two incidences, when Jaramogi differed with Kenyatta and he did the moral thing, resigned from government. I also remember an incident, I think it was Vice President Murumbi, who also differed with the then president and did the honorable thing and resigned from government.
Those were the first two vice presidents. Daniel Arap Moi was at that. Do you know of any incident where Daniel Arap Moi was moving around this country as vice president, committing this type of wrongdoing?
No, not at all.
How about Mwai Kibaki?
In fact, even when he was demoted, he continued working in cabinet.
How about Josephat Karanja?
Not at all.
How about George Saitoti?
Even when he was sacked, he continued being loyal to the government of the day.
How about Musalia Mudavadi?
In his short stint, nothing is heard about him undermining his boss.
How about
dividing the country?
Mudi Awori?
Not at all.
Kalonzo Musyoka?
Not at all.
So when we are told there is nothing extraordinary about this wrongdoing? Is that consistent with the lived reality of Kenya?
There is everything extraordinary when a country of 46 tribes, someone advocates for the servicing of less than 2 of those communities. Where will the 44 go?
Given the politics of 41 against 1 in 2007 and the post-election violence, would this allegation be extraordinary wrongdoing?
It is an extraordinary wrongdoing. In fact, the post-election violence that resulted from that particular kind of campaign was in itself extremely dangerous to our social fabric and extremely dangerous to our economy.
Given the experience of the Molo and Likoni clashes in the 90s, would this be extraordinary wrongdoing coming from the second senior-most state officer?
Indeed, and also when it is remembered that he was a district officer in Molo when those clashes were happening.
Given what is going on right now as we speak in Tana River, would conduct like this emanating from none other than the deputy of the president be extraordinary misconduct?
I have seen in news that there are families that are displaced, people have lost property, and if that is not extraordinary, then I do not know what extraordinary means.
Given, sir, and I will summarize this, what this type of campaign achieved in Rwanda, in Burundi, in Sudan, in South Sudan, in former Yugoslavia, in Nigeria, the Biafra War, and we could count and count until the cows go home. Can anyone be heard in good conscience to say that this is not extraordinary misconduct?
Indeed, this is very extraordinary, requiring impeachment.
Please confirm, because we are pressed for time, that the evidence you're relying on this ground applies equally to allegation number 5 of your motion.
Just a minute to confirm.
What is your complaint in allegation number 5? Allegation number 5, Mr. Speaker, will be at page 16 to 17 of volume 2.
Allegation number 5, just a minute. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, our allegation number 5 relates to gross violation of Article 3(1) of the Constitution and Article 148(5)(a) of the Constitution, which specifically is in relation to the breach of the oath of office and allegiance.
Does the oath of office require the deputy president to promote national unity or the shareholder politics?
The oath of office demands of the deputy president to promote national unity.
And what is your complaint in ground number 6, sir?
In ground number 6,
that again is on page 16 to 17, Mr. Speaker.
Ground number 6 is about serious reasons to believe that the deputy president has committed a crime under national law pursuant to Article 151(b) and 2 of the Constitution.
And what is the specific complaint?
The specific complaint is that there are serious reasons to believe that His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua has committed crimes under Section 13(1)(a) and 62 of the National Cohesion and Integration Act.
Can you please read for us those sections of the law?
Section 13 of the National Cohesion and Integration Act provides that it is an offense.
Honorable Speaker, that section will be in volume 7 of the Assembly's documents.
That it is an offense for any person to use threatening, abusive, or insulting words or behavior where the person intends to stir up feelings of ethnic contempt, hatred, hostility, violence, or discrimination. The section also makes it an offense to use words or engage in such behavior when, having regard to all the circumstances, ethnic hatred is likely to be stirred up.
Is ethnic hatred likely to be stirred up by this campaign of shareholding?
Obviously.
Is it likely to stir up ethnic contempt?
Obviously.
What does Section 62 say?
Section 62 of the National Cohesion and Integration Act states that a person commits an offense when the person makes statements that are intended or are likely to stir up feelings of ethnic contempt, hatred, hostility, violence, or discrimination.
Are the utterances by the Deputy President likely to trigger any of those things?
Yes, indeed.
As a matter of fact, Honorable Mutuse, that law you just read, National Cohesion and Integration, wasn't it the law Parliament enacted to ensure we never go back to where our country was in 2007, 2008 because of utterances like this?
It was pursuant to the post-election violence, and the country resolved that we needed a law as a result. And therefore, it is a law that is supposed to ensure that we in office live to promote national unity and not the opposite.
Given that history and why that law exists, sir, we repeat the question. Has the Deputy President committed ordinary or extraordinary wrongdoing?
He has, under Article 150 of the Constitution, in relation to this ground, there are serious reasons to believe that he has committed wrongs against the National Cohesion and Integration Act, and if extraordinary in nature. And if you allow me, these are not my words. I have been accused of urging the National Assembly to believe me. These are not my words, they are words of the Constitution under Article 150.
Thank you. I want us, Mr. Speaker, we're urging the Senate, if you consider the evidence so far adduced, then that evidence applies to ground 1, 5, and 6. So we are prosecuting them together to save on time. Let's go to allegation number 7, sir. Mr. Speaker, that allegation runs from pages 17 to 31. It was the one you were told runs from falsehoods, culminating in the embarrassing and other things. Let's see whether it is actually falsehoods, embarrassing, and the other adjectives that we were told. And I would urge members to work with me by holding volume 2A, volume 2 of the Assembly's documents, together with our volume 6. 6, I only mention it briefly. Please confirm, sir, at page 2 of volume 6, who, as between you and the Deputy President, as passions were cast, that you're referring to irrelevant material about the estate of the late Gachagua. Between you and the Deputy President, who has brought up this issue of the estate? Is it you or is it him?
In the response by the Deputy President, on page 2 of volume 6, indeed, he did bring out the issue of the estate of his late brother in response to the allegations that he has acquired properties worth 5.2 billion within the period that he has been Deputy President.
So we'll come back to that document much later. I'm only mentioning it now, sir, to clear the air, whether it is you trying to whip emotions by bringing up this matter, or it is the Deputy President attempting, by his own response, to hide behind the shadow of his late brother.
I never mentioned any of my deceased relatives. I have them, but I never mentioned any. The Deputy President is the one who mentioned his deceased relatives.
He's actually the one who has brought this material, isn't it?
Indeed.
Good. Now we'll come to it. Let's go back to your allegation. Ground number 7, sir. Can you tell the Senate in summary, we are so pressed for time,
What is...
Mr. Speaker, honorable members, underground number 7, our allegation is that there are serious reasons to believe that His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua has committed crimes under Section 45(1), 46, 47A3, and 48(1) of the Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Act, as well as Sections 2, 3, 4, and 7 of the Proceeds of Crime and the Money Laundering Act. And in short, during the short period that I was doing research on this motion, I have come across properties that are registered in the name of the Deputy President or in the name of his children or other proxies that run cumulatively to a value of about 5.2 billion. And there is no clear trace of where the monies to purchase those properties came from, and therefore, under the Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Act, qualify to be unexplained assets. Number 2, I have also listed companies that are associated with the Deputy President, 22 of them. And these companies, you look at the objects and purposes, they are all the same. And it is our theory and our evidence that these companies have been used for money laundering. Similarly, I have also listed companies that have been transacting with the office of the Deputy President, the office held by the Deputy President, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, with tremendous respect. And they are being paid from that office, and we have laid ground for serious reasons to believe that these companies are actually conduits for corruption, and that political responsibility, even when he's not the accounting officer, rests with the highest holder of that office. And that is the case we are making here. And we shall be showing the connection between the properties and His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua. And in a case of unexplained assets, it is upon the person to show where they actually got the money to buy the assets. We have evidence that the assets belong to him.
Let's begin with the companies, Honorable Mutuze. You said you have attached Form CR12 to your motion.
Indeed, I have attached Form CR12 being evidence of ownership of those companies.
Would that be the Form CR12 on pages 8 all the way to 32 of Volume 2A?
Indeed, yes.
Honorable Speaker, it's Volume 2A, pages 8 to 32. It actually begins, Honorable Speaker, it's me who is mistaken. It's from page 1 to 32, right?
Indeed, yes.
And because we are stressed for time, sir, does this document show in black and white that the majority of these companies, the directors and shareholders, are either the Deputy President or his sons or his spouse?
Yes, they do, and senators will have opportunity to look at the Form CR12s. Many of them are under 2 weeks old, so they are very recent.
Let's go to the question of the purchase
and you can also independently confirm from the e-Citizen portal. It is only 650 shillings to do as a company search.
You have mentioned Treetops Hotel and Outspan Hotel in paragraph 45A.
Yes, indeed.
Let's confirm whether this is false, ridiculous, or embarrassing. Did the Deputy President issue a public address on the 7th of October in which he admitted acquiring these 2 hotels?
Yes, indeed, and it is part of our evidence.
So with that admission from him, can we be here to say your allegations are false, ridiculous, and embarrassing?
That is not expected from the son of Mau Mau.
But let's go to page 33, sir, of your volume 2A.
Mr. Speaker, sir, we have been patiently waiting and restraining myself from raising.
Pause the time for the National Assembly, please. Proceed, Council.
I've been constraining myself when listening to the proceedings, and Council is testifying instead of the witness testifying. Number 2, he's asking leading questions in examination in chief, and Council understands the rules of examination.
A case in point, you're very general. A case in point?
The Hansons, Mr. Speaker, sir, will bear us witness, and the Senate is a custodian of the Hanson.
Council, I'm very alert. Any leading questions before you take your feet, I'll be able to object to it. I'm very alert to that. Proceed, Council.
Much obliged, Mr. Speaker. Let's go to page 33, sir. What is that document? On volume 2A?
On page 33, this is a discharge of charge between Wayne Holdings Limited and Aberdare Safari Lodges Limited.
Yes.
Drawn by the firm of Hamilton, Harris, and Matthews.
On page 34, what is given as the amount of the loan being discharged?
The loan being discharged is 143,885,042 shillings.
Please confirm this loan is being discharged as of 30th October 2023.
Yes, the loan is being discharged as at of 30th October 2023. And the loan was to Aberdare Safari Hotels Limited.
Would that mean this hotel was indebted before the Deputy President acquired it?
It was in evidence.
To what amount?
143,885,042 shillings.
Let's go to page 37.
The next.
And who is acquiring that property according to this document?
The property, as at this time, belonged to Aberdare Safari Hotels Limited and is being transferred.
Is Kenya Limited a company linked to the Deputy President?
Yes, indeed, and we have annexed the form CR12.
In which page?
The form CR12 is on page 23 of
volume 2.
One Keith Ikino Rigathi.
Who is that?
That is a son to Honorable Rigathi Gachagua.
Yes.
And the second director is Kevin Gachagua Rigathi.
Yes.
Also a son.
Now let's go back to 37. As the Deputy President
unipoke kwako, unitakase, nipate neema, nimeingia kwako, nimeingia hapa mahali patakatifu, nimeingia kwako, hapa mahali patakatifu. Unipoke kwako, unitakase, nipate neema. E Bwana mwema, wewe mfadhili sana, nakuja kwako kukutukuza. Nimeingia kwako hapa mahali patakatifu. Unipoke unitakase, nipate neema.
Kwa jina la Baba na la Mwana na Roho Mtakatifu. Bwana awe nanyi. Karibuni katika Dominika 28 ya mwaka. Tumwombe ili Mungu Mwenyezi azidi kutujalia Roho wake Mtakatifu na pia neema zake. Na ili tumtolee Mungu sadaka iliyo safi na takatifu, tujute dhambi zetu. Namuungamia Mungu Mwenyezi, nanyi ndugu zangu, kwani nimekosa mno kwa mawazo, kwa maneno, kwa vitendo na kukutimiza wajibu. Nimekosa mimi, nimekosa mimi, nimekosa sana. Ndiyo maana nakuomba Maria mwenye heri, Bikira daima, malaika na watakatifu wote, nanyi ndugu zangu, niombeeni kwa Bwana Mungu wetu. Mungu Mwenyezi atuhurumie, atusamehe dhambi zetu, atufikishe kwenye uzima wa milele.
Bwana, Bwana utuhurumie, Bwana, 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 Bwana utuhurumie, Bwana, 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 Bwana utuhurumie. Kristo, Kristo utuhurumie, Kristo, 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 Kristo utuhurumie, Kristo, Kristo.
Deepen your theological knowledge. Enroll in our theology programs specializing in catechesis and pastoral ministry. Transform lives with our integrative spiritual counseling program, which equips you to make a meaningful impact in your community. Empower your congregation by joining our one-year intensive Formation of Formators program, tailored to enhance your leadership, pedagogy, and spiritual formation skills. For religious men and women seeking renewal, our St. Anselm's sabbatical program offers a flexible 4-month break to revitalize your ministry with the January and August intakes.
A selection of market-driven courses, well selected, with equipped classrooms, a good selection of well-trained teachers, and certified courses. What is our intention? We intend to equip learners with market-driven skills that will make them competitive in the job market, and that will
Number 82. Tuimbe kwa shangwe na furaha, tuimbe kwa shangwe na furaha, Bwana ametufanya makuu. Tuimbe, tuimbe kwa shangwe na furaha, tuimbe kwa shangwe na furaha, Bwana ametufanya makuu. Yeye ndiye Mungu wa miungu, yeye ndiye Bwana wa mabwana, Bwana ametufanya makuu. Tuimbe, tuimbe kwa shangwe na furaha, tuimbe kwa shangwe na furaha, Bwana ametufanya makuu. Bwana ni mfalme wa